First at 4, an emotional milestone at Michigan State University. This is a live look at campus where many people are taking time to remember and heal. Also, there is some money on the way to more than 700,000 working families in Michigan. We're going to talk about some tax credit checks. And here's Kim.
Well, we have a few flurries out there this afternoon, but a little snow could fall on Thursday and also some rain. We'll talk about who gets rain and who gets snow coming up first at 4.
We're going to take you inside a cultural center. It's very, very interesting in what it's doing, but also show you their brand new Black History exhibition. Tough to look at, important to see.
Live from downtown Detroit, Local 4 News First at 4 starts now.
Good afternoon, I'm Karen Drew. First at 4, we are seeing a somber, reflective mood on the campus of Michigan State University today. 1 year ago tonight, a gunman went on a rampage. He killed 3 students, Brian Frazier, Ariel Anderson, and Alexandria Verner. 5 others were injured before the shooter fled and then was later shot to death. Classes are canceled today, but many members of the community are taking time to think about those who were lost. Will Jones has been on campus this afternoon. Will, I know you're talking to a lot of different students. It's hard just even having that conversation this afternoon and taking a look back. I can't believe it's been a year.
Karen, it's been really difficult. These students have been really emotional throughout the day. I've seen so many tears. Some of these students are reliving trauma. That's Berkeley Hall there. That's where 2 students were killed. People have been coming throughout the day, dropping off flowers here, hugging each other, grieving together. The Rock has been another gathering spot for the Spartan community today. This was our first stop when we arrived on campus. Just after spending a few minutes there, really got the sense of what this day was going to be like. Students are handling this 1-year mark in their own way. Some cried at the Rock, some embraced each other. We just spoke with the MSU student body president, who is from Metro Detroit. She helped plan activities this week for students.
It's really hard for those of us that were here that night, but not even just those of us who were here that night, but those of you who even knew a Spartan, those of you who were in the East Lansing community. Like, this impacted so many different people, not only in the state of Michigan, but around the nation and around the world. So it's really hard.
As I mentioned, we've seen students throughout the day drop off flowers here. While that sound was running, 2 students dropped off flowers at this building. This has been really tough to cover because you don't want to approach students because they're really going through this tragedy all over again. Some students said simply they didn't want to be bothered today because it has been tough. They're going to be gathering tonight for a remembrance gathering, so a lot of tears will be shed there. We're going to have much more on this story coming up at 5, including we spoke with a student who lost a friend last year. But for right now, live on the campus of MSU, Will Jones, Local 4.
Thank you, Will. And that leads us to one of the biggest questions today after the shooting has been, how does the school do everything it can to prevent future violence? I've done some digging to reveal where safety improvements stand right now.
1 year after the mass shooting on the MSU campus, security updates have been made, but there still is a list of needed changes. Metal detectors complete. Door lock installations not complete. Active violence incident training, less than 20% of faculty and students have taken that training. Coming up, Local 4 investigates safety on the campus of MSU.
And there is a lot to unpack there, so I'll show you more of what our investigation reveals when you join us for Local 4 News at 5. Now, to a Local 4 update. We are monitoring the investigation into the shooting of a 15-year-old boy inside the Weston Hotel in Southfield. The teenager from Ferndale was said to be in very grave condition after suffering a single gunshot to the head Sunday morning. Police say a group of young men were just hanging out unsupervised at that hotel. Another 15-year-old from Detroit has been arraigned on 2 counts of carrying a concealed weapon. He is in juvenile custody this afternoon. New at 5, Sean Lay is hearing from the family of the young man who is fighting for his life. Many Michigan families about to receive a budget-boosting check from the state. New tax credits are on the way. We're talking about more than 700,000 working family households. So on average, the checks will be worth about $550. To qualify, individuals must have filed a federal income tax return and meet certain requirements for the 2022 tax year. If the federal government issued a credit based on the earned income tax credit, Michigan will now send a supplemental check. You can learn more about if you qualify through an article that we posted on clickondetroit.com. Federal help now available for storm victims affected by those dangerous weather situations that just ripped through Michigan in August of last year. The storms hit between August 24th and 26th. There are two ways to reach out to FEMA. You can call the number on your screen, 1-800-621-3362, or you can go online at disasterassistance.gov. Now, when you do apply, you will need a general list of damages and losses, insurance information, and also other personal information. You can get more info at fema.gov/disaster. We're also going to show you this info again after our full weather report. So if you want to take a pic, perhaps, or write it down, that'll help you out. Some of you may have seen a few snowflakes today, but are the flurries sticking around? This is a live look at Mount Clemens this afternoon. No flurries showing up on this camera. Let's check in with forewarned meteorologist Kim Adams. How are things shaking up?
Well, we just have, as you said, a few flurries out there, especially as you get up into just south of Port Huron. So let's take a look at Exact Track 4D radar, and I'll show you where that light snow is now falling. It's in Chesterfield, New Haven, just in northern parts of Washington and Macomb. So mostly in the northern part of Macomb County and then up again into the Thumb. But the rest of Metro Detroit, you might see a flake here or there. It's nothing that will affect your travel this evening. Temperatures are also above freezing everywhere. 35 in Mount Clemens, 33 at Metro, and 33 in Pontiac. Weather story. So any snow that we have will be tapering down this evening, and then a rain-snow mix ahead for Thursday. And there's been a change to that forecast. It's just a little tweak, but one I think you're going to like for Thursday, and then a few flakes hanging around for Friday and Saturday. We'll talk more about Thursday's storm and the impacts coming up.
All right, thanks, Kim. A group of bipartisan senators argue the security of the United States and much of the world is at risk after passing a new package of foreign aid. But House Speaker Mike Johnson may never bring the legislation to a vote in the other chamber, putting the proposal at risk. The Senate bill provides more than $95 billion in aid for Ukraine, Israel, and other allies. Critics want more accountability and more money for domestic priorities. Ukraine is already facing critical shortages on the battlefield in its war with Vladimir Putin's Russia. Senate Majority Leader Dick Schumer is blunt about what he says is at stake.
If the hard right kills this bill, it would be an enormous gift to Vladimir Putin. It would be a betrayal of our partners and allies and an abandonment of our service members.
You may remember many Republicans wanted border security money attached to this foreign aid, but Senate Republicans blocked that bill last week. Former President Donald Trump attacked the border bill. Critics say he wants the issue kept alive for the 2024 election. Meantime, if you care about border security or the Constitution, this is another story to keep your eyes on. Republican Speaker Mike Johnson has scheduled another vote on the impeachment of the Secretary of Homeland Security, Alejandro Mayorkas. Some Republicans blame him for not doing enough to fix the border situation. Democrats say Mayorkas has not reached the high crimes and misdemeanors required for impeachment in the Constitution. And by the way, even if he is impeached, Mayorkas would likely be acquitted in the Democratic-controlled Senate. Local 4 is committed to bringing you Black history stories throughout the month. And today we are taking a close look at a new exhibit at a cultural center over in Farmington Hills. Paula Tutman takes us inside before anybody else to get a sneak peek at a collection with a really powerful message.
Tough to look at, important to see. We'll take you inside a cultural center for a brand new exhibition on Black history.
It's called Centric Place in Farmington Hills.
I love that you're on Freedom Road.
Is that something?
That is so synchronistic. Absolutely.
A nonprofit cultural center dab smack in the suburbs, all about empowerment.
This is really cool.
Isn't
because
this?
I remember these as a kid.
Oh, absolutely.
And the one with Martin Luther King Jr. on it is only 50 cents.
Can you believe it? It's also the new home for Blackbird Galleries, formerly in the Fisher Building, now here and about to open a brand new exhibition for Black History Month.
This collection, or this series, is by an artist, Robert Ketchens.
The exhibition has been in the Netherlands, Chicago, and now here.
There is a theme of slavery and Reconstruction, but he really wants to show our story. He induces the colors, like for instance, all these colors are historically what we brought over from Africa. There is a quilt. If you're not familiar, quilting started for Black people as a way of a map or directions to the Underground Railroad.
The entire purpose of the collection is to entice people to understand the impact of slavery worldwide.
This is one of his strongest pieces, in my opinion. And if you look at it, you know, at first it kind of catches you off guard. You can see the barbed wire. In the picture, you can see the fire and the smoke. But we don't know who he is. We don't know where he came from, and we don't know why he was lynched.
At a time when revisionism and denial are on the rise, these specially curated artists and art pieces tell the visual history.
They are taking books out of our schools about hard subjects. We need to tell them, and what a better way to tell them to children is through visual and conversations. We have to serve or have reminders of the story because it serves a purpose. And that purpose is to never forget, and we only must rise from here.
Central Place is really just this really cooled out, interesting space. It's kind of tucked away. Interestingly enough, it's off of Freedom Road. The exhibit actually opens Friday, and it's free to the public. Paula Tutman, Local 4.
Appreciate the sneak peek. Thanks, Paula. Blackbird Gallery inside Centric Place in Farmington Hills will have several different collections showing simultaneously. The grand opening of the show, as Paula mentioned, is Friday, and it runs through March 15th.